things were humming along great. The show is a couple of years old. And in the time that So with that in mind, I decided to go deeper and deeper into the whole vegan movement. And I got to tell you, I've since that time. And so I was at the grocery store about 6 months into my journey, and I'm walking by the meat department, and all of a sudden, you're listening to the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. I'm your host, Kathleen Gage. We're here to plant seeds on compassion to animals, your health, and the environment, and topics related to business that align with all three of those areas. Enjoy the show. Well, after nearly a year of hiatus, this program is coming back to the market. This is Kathleen Gage, host of the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. Today's episode is just a hello, I'm still here, and I wanted to let you know what's going on with the podcast. It's been about a year since I've done my last episode. That was episode 123, so we're going to pick up right where we left off with 124. And I have to tell you, I'm going to give you kind of an overview and cover 5 things that I will be discussing today, which is the personal journey I've gone on since the show went on hiatus, the evolution of the podcast, where it's been, where it's going, what my plan is, the health benefits of plant-based eating, because this is the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. But don't let the name fool you. I will also be talking about business issues. So it's not just going to be about healthy eating, but it's going to be about healthy business as it relates to the plant-based community, the vegan community. And that's a big one. We are bringing in the vegan topic into a lot of what we're doing. I want to just reach out and let you know that I'm still around and what you can do to get involved. And some of the exciting guests that I have booked for the show. I've recently interviewed Dr. Frank Sabatino, who is the NHA Health Science podcast host. He is just a pillar of the plant-based vegan community. Amazing, amazing man. Matali, the vegan publisher, is going to be on the show. She was on before. She's a favorite of a lot of people. Angela Fischetti is going to be on the show. She is just another amazing vegan plant-based eater. Katie Golly, who is out of Australia, she is going to be on the show. And I've got a whole list of people who are either already scheduled to be on the show or I will be reaching out, which kind of brings me to the first point. If you are interested in being on the show, reach out to me. Just go to my website, veganvisibility.com. That's veganvisibility.com, and you'll find my contact information there. But I want to talk about why I stopped the show and what's been happening in that time. And, you know, the why I stopped the show is the same for a lot of people. I got sidetracked. I got involved in other things, and things were humming along great. The show is a couple of years old. And in the time that I kind of put it on hiatus, I actually started the show at the height of the pandemic. It was in 2020, I believe I started the show, 2021, and things were coming along great. It was a great platform, lots of downloads, thousands upon thousands of downloads on the show, and it just seemed to be going great. Well, then what I did is I actually partnered with somebody in business. We worked together for a couple of years, had a great run in our businesses. Things were going great. And actually, she will be on my show at some point, V-Lynn Hopkins. And we had what we combined as between the two of us, about 60 years of expertise, 50 in digital marketing, in sales. She's been in commercial real estate. Well, she's going to be on the show. And we got really focused on serving clients. We were building a business and it was going along great. And then what we realized is we both had different goals. The common goal was that we wanted to raise up the vegan community. And what we realized was it would be better for us to actually support each other in our independent businesses, send business referrals to each other, and it's working out great. So that's kind of what the story is of why I moved in a different direction for a short period of time. After really looking at what I wanted to do, I turned 70 a few months ago. And in that time that I was going through a lot of soul searching around turning 70, I thought, what do I want to do? If I do rebirth my own business, what do I want to do? And what I realize is podcasting is my passion. Anything to do with communication, the written word, the spoken word, the audio word. Yeah, I guess that would be the spoken word. But what I realize is I love writing, I love podcasting, I love creating content that makes a difference in people's lives. So that's why I decided to rebirth my podcast. And truth be told, I looked at my numbers and my numbers are pretty darn good. And I thought, there are people very, very interested in this particular topic, plant-based eating for health. But what I also realize is that that's not the only thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about how plant-based eating impacts other areas of our life. And one of the things that has occurred in the time since the show actually was on hiatus is I've dug deeper and deeper and deeper into the whole vegan movement and realizing how important it is for me to actually be involved in that community on many different levels. So with that in mind, I decided to go deeper and deeper into the whole vegan movement. And I got to tell you, I've since that time been involved. I actually produce several podcast shows. I'm involved in as a member of the National Health Association. You can go to healthscience.org to learn more about that organization, premier organization within the plant-based movement. They've been around for 76 years. They have the likes of T. Colin Campbell's, Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Frank Sabatino, Wanda and Mark Huberman. These are all longtime plant-based lifestylists. And I have to tell you, it is a premier organization. Another organization I'm involved with is Sage Circle Alliance. You go to sagecirclealliance.org and you'll learn more about that particular organization. Meryl Fury and Paul Chatlin are the founders, the co-founders, and their whole idea is to raise awareness around, again, the plant-based movement, around the health of eating plant-based, around children and health issues and how plant-based diets can actually really turn around what's become a major epidemic of childhood obesity and diseases that are definitely preventable. So I'm pretty excited about that. I've been on a number of podcast shows, and again, I have produced quite a few. And here's the thing, what I've learned about myself in the time that I've been doing what I've been doing is to do what I love doing. I love podcasting. I absolutely love podcasting. So you're going to start seeing me more on this podcast. It'll be a weekly podcast, and once in a while I'll drop an episode in between, just something that might be exciting for the marketplace. And I'm going to be on other people's podcasts, which I'll put it out. If you would like me on your podcast show, just reach out. Go to my website, reach out to either be on my show, and you must be 100% void of animal and dairy in your food consumption. There is no exception to that whatsoever. I can come on your podcast show. I don't have to just be on plant-based shows. I can be on business shows. I can be on women's issues shows. I can be on growing older with vitality. I just turned 70, as I believe I mentioned. And if I didn't, I'll blame that on age that I forgot. But no, quite seriously, I'm very healthy, very vibrant, and I'm 70 years old. And I want to be a face of what it looks like and feels like to be aging with vitality as a result of being plant-based. So one of the things that I really encourage people to do is please subscribe to this channel, leave a rating and a review wherever you're either watching or listening to this. This feeds out to all the main audio platforms, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Podcast, Google Podcast, all over the place, and it's on YouTube. I'm looking to get my numbers up on YouTube, so anything you can do to help with that would be great. The first is to subscribe, leave a comment, and a rating and a review. That's really helpful. Some of the upcoming content, as I mentioned, will be with people within the community who are very committed to this lifestyle. That's extremely important to me. And actually, I am 6 years a vegan now. And when I first started out, if you don't know my backstory, when I first started out, I actually started out because of inflammation. I was 64 years old at the time, dealing with pretty intense inflammation in my wrists and my legs. And I started doing some research, and all the research I found indicated that by getting rid of especially dairy, not necessarily meat, but dairy, I would probably notice a profound change. And I thought, well, let's go ahead and give it 7 days of being completely void of animal and dairy. Let's see what happens. And I was quite a meat eater at that point and loved my cheese. And I've often heard people say, "Oh, I can't give up the cheese." But then when you start finding out how that cheese is processed, first of all, and then what it does to your body, secondly, things can change quite rapidly in your own mindset, and your why starts to change. So I decided, okay, I'm going to give it 7 days. And I actually have a giveaway that I like to share with people about my own personal journey. It's a 7-day reboot to plant-based eating guide where it could turn your life around. But I'll drop that link in the show notes. But and it's absolutely free. It's got my own personal journey. It's got how you can actually start on a plant-based journey, a 7-day protocol. It's got recipes in it. It's got things where you can write down what you've eaten for the day. So it's quite a nice resource. But I digress. So a week into it, not only was I feeling better, but I dropped some weight. And at the time I was at my heaviest, one of my heaviest weights ever. And I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And I wasn't dieting. I had given up on diets because I had been a yo-yo dieter all my life. And so I thought, okay, I'll give it another 7 days. Now, mind you, at that point, I did not identify as a vegan. Wasn't going to, didn't plan to, had no intention of it. And after another 7 days, I lost some more weight. I was feeling even better. I was sleeping well. And I thought, okay, I'll give it another 2 weeks. So 2 weeks turned into a month, and that turned into 2 months. And I was still a plant-based eater, didn't want to be a vegan. And one day I'm at the grocery store. Now, during this time, I'm doing a lot of research. I'm watching documentaries, I'm reading books, I'm reading blogs, I'm on social media, reading comments people are making about vegans. And I'm thinking, wow, people are pretty harsh towards vegans. And yet there are some vegans who are pretty radical. Let's call it as it is. But I thought, this is interesting how much people misunderstand what being vegan is, because in the truest sense of the word, being vegan means that you simply do as little harm to sentient beings as possible. That's what being a vegan is. What that means is you don't eat animal-based products or dairy, which is animal-based. And so I was at the grocery store about 6 months into my journey, and I'm walking by the meat department, and all of a sudden I had just the most incredible experience of feeling all the pain and suffering these animals had gone through to end up in a display case wrapped in plastic, not even looking like the animal that they came from. And it was in that moment, I literally stopped in my tracks, and I just felt this flood of emotions and this guilt and this shame of like, how could I have been so blind? And what I realized was I was only blind based on the information I had been given, and based on the fact that in many ways, I just didn't want to know. But once I started discovering the truth, I couldn't go back. And so that was 6 years ago. And now I am completely immersed in the lifestyle. I live in a home that is not 100% vegan. And that is part of what a lot of us deal with on a daily basis. It's neither good nor bad. It just is what it is. And I've had to learn how to communicate with my spouse so that I'm not imposing my beliefs and yet setting appropriate boundaries. I'm going to have guests that come on that will be talking about that. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. And I have to tell you, the longer I am plant-based vegan, the better I feel. But here's the thing. I actually did an interview with Katie Galley, and it's going to be on her podcast in about 2 months. But one of the things that I found I was falling victim to, my own victimhood, is that when I called myself vegan and I eliminated plant-based eating, I started eating ultra-processed vegan food. Now, that's another misconception that people have. They think all vegan food is healthy, and it's not. Some of the vegan food is just as unhealthy, if not more unhealthy, than the foods that most carnivores will eat. And I would find myself in the frozen department, the vegan frozen department, getting vegan corn dogs, vegan pizza, vegan this, vegan that, vegan chicken nuggets, and they'd call them something else. And I would buy one pack initially, then I started buying 2 packs. And initially, I would have one corn dog, and then that turned into 2, then that turned into a pack. Then I thought, well, if 1 pack is good, I need to have another pack as a backup. And I was going into old behaviors, and it's like, whoa, whoa. Ultra processed foods are ultra processed foods. They're bad for you. They're terrible. They're wreaking havoc on our system. So we're going to talk about ultra processed vegan foods and why it's a good idea to avoid those. Now, some people say that's a gateway food. It introduces people into the vegan lifestyle. But truth be told, I think it's really about the day-by-day decisions that we make. So again, I'm Kathleen Gage. I'm the host of Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. I'd love for you to leave a rating and a review. And if you have a recommendation for a guest, please let me know. I can be reached on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I'm all over the place. And I would love to hear what your recommendations and your favorite vegan people are that you'd like on the show. I will introduce people I'll bring people on who've never been on a podcast if they've got a great story to share. I'll bring on world-renowned experts. Mitali is a world-renowned expert. Dr. Frank Sabatino, world-renowned expert. Wanda and Mark Huberman, world-renowned experts. So I'm going to bring these people on my show so that you can have a well-rounded view and experience of what the vegan plant-based lifestyle is. I encourage you again, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're listening or watching. I will be dropping episodes on Tuesday every week. And so you can expect an episode every single Tuesday, like clockwork. It'll be by noon Eastern. And with that, I want to say thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please leave your comments on this particular episode. This was just kind of a free flow conversation of me getting back in the saddle. And it's the podcast saddle to share my insights and thoughts with you around what it is to be vegan as I age, being vital and vibrant. And it's because of what I eat and the lifestyle choices I make. And I really want to pass that on to you. This is Kathleen saying, have a great day.